on that hammer, and excuse me, Endemic trying to make it out, but look at that collapse from Arthalon. Out of position for a moment. Dansky gets the tether, Cure with the drag. No kill yet there.
Michael Hudel on team. They're on the backside, and McIntyre with that level 7 cooldown can continue to jump all over this. He's controlling the spot for now, but Biggie and team should be able to walk away as Maev comes in with the counter engage. Dansky just trying to make things happen.
Very good peel there from Mikey Dahl with that route to ensure the escape there with the 3-2 split. Endemic, you know, trying to abuse the fact that Arthalon displayed himself on the top half of the battleground was pretty successful for a moment there. But the fact that they ended up losing the momentum on that top half with that camp, forcing the Dahaka rotation here, and did not get those kills on the escape out, I feel like HeroesHearth got the slight advantage that they were honestly hoping for it. Granted, Endemic probably didn't expect to escape as nearly as they did here. Dahaka will have the brush stock available to come back in here, see if they net the same success that they had over that first initiation in a couple of seconds.
The potions are aplenty on the backside, but Endemic has 2 turrets on their side. Dansky goes in. He's going to get the blink in, does get the tether, pulls in multiple members. The roots by both of the supports coming out, trying to make plays. Cure, however, surviving deep on the side of HeroesHearth with that essence as BKit has to jump away.
Yeah, and Crowan just got way too much value within that team fight. That full 5v5 where they're trying to get the face off here. Hold on, 99%. Cure's going to move in. Dansky with the 4-man tether, pulling them all back there. The Condemn keeping Endemic stuck into a choke as the burrow is there. Will Cure be able to make it out? McIntyre throws down the hammer, trying to get the body blocks as they throw down a blinded drag lands onto Arthalon, and Endemic end up getting the pick here. They're going to turn this fight.
Dansky blinked on just in time as overtime was there. He's going to die in return. McIntyre trying to survive. He's going to go down. BBJ got dragged in. Another nice play here by Cure. It's a bloodbath, but it's in favor of Endemic and Dreadnought. This should be enough for Endemic to not only get the protector, but we look up at the scoreboard. They're going to have 10 when they grab it.
This is a colossal lead for Endemic, and they are very much going to gain a ridiculous amount of control here of this battleground once they pick up this Punisher. Or Protector, excuse me. This is going to be devastating for HeroesHearth Esports. And I was saying just before this, we know HeroesHearth Esports to be a team a little comfortable kind of falling behind in those earlier stages of the game and then be willing to take those major fights later. But I can't help but feel like this is far bigger an advantage, a more proactive advantage gained by Endemic than a large majority of fans at home expected.
We've seen the change-up with the Protector at times to where if you are trying to get 10 and you want to get that snowball, you can just push down mid, get the fort wall since the change is 2 XP, then you get the fort itself, which gives you that 10 race. Because that went on so long, we now see a different use of the Protector. I don't think it's going to get as much experience as they had anticipated. You definitely want to get control and then get the well down, but for them, the Protector at this point, they got most of the damage done in the team fight, and now they're just trying to set up for the future with the Protector itself.
But it is one of those circumstances, his BKit actually dropping the avatar here, is where we look at Endemic and we go, you know, they end up getting that early control, but that is the moment of consistency that we expect from them. They needed to be able to get more out of that, I feel like, to, again, maintain the control that they get out of HeroesHearth Esports. Now, with as little as they've gotten, they find themselves in a situation where it's only about that half-level lead that's going to be negated as Dahaka ends up picking up on bottom, the XP there, but it really is not something to kind of write home about other than you have won the first skirmish. So Endemic setting themselves back there with the Protector.
You mentioned in the previous fight how much value Charge Strikes was getting with that level 1 talent. You're going to continue to try and pull in even more people because not only do we have the Lornado, but we're also getting Valkyrie, not that ball lightning. So Charge Strikes could have a major impact in these team fights, in close quarters especially. We'll see how that goes, but obviously, you know, getting the blinds from Johanna will help. But these team fights, which have been very tight-knit in terms of the spacing, they're only going to get tighter as we go forward.
Yeah, and Valkyrie normally is a response. I'm going to say argue here in this type of situation because of the Malfurion ice block. That was why in the past you never took it, is because Malfurion would go bloop, and he'd be like, nope, thank you for the heroic. We're going to win this next skirmish. Now that he is a very vulnerable target, you can probably expect to see more of that being picked up. We've seen it as an answer to 7-sided, knowing that Karazim will always exit the 7-sided in the dead center, and it's an easy kind of Valkyrie target there. But it's going to be interesting. I like that we see these differences from HeroesHearth Esports, but at the same time, they're it requires a lot of coordination from their composition, something that HeroesHearth Esports we know typically to rely on. But again, you know, based on kind of the North American curse and things that we've hinting towards, I guess I leave it as like a, you know, I want to see it kind of in action before I give much credit. Dansky finds a 2-man tether.
Oh, we're about to get some action. Here comes Cure. The Lornado, though, down in time. BBJ said, look, this is a scary situation, but I'm going to send you the other way, and that's a short enough cooldown. You know it'll be there for the Protector phase. the control point next, but that Endemic was about to put a stamp on that team fight.
Very good rotation from them. Control point B, or even actually more importantly, looking at the experience here. Remember when we were talking about that Protector and how much they would end up getting out of it? Now Endemic has found themselves, you know, heavily struggling within the experience advantage. They will get a little bit once that middle wave has ended up getting cleared, but HeroesHearth Esports, for being a full level down with, oh, Blessed Shield dropped, not going to be able to get out of here. Big impact. Valkyrie come through, reeling him right back in. B-Kid should have a Dwarf Toss in a moment as Dansky is there with the tether. But look at this, HeroesHearth Esports finding that pick for themselves, and now they're getting a control of Volskaya Foundry for the first time.
Does seem like they were on the back foot for the majority of the early part of the game, but 10 minutes in, starting to turn up the pace. We'll be curious now, because the Brush Stalker points for Dahaka, because they're so far up and so far down between the control point, most of the control point fights are between the bottom part in this mid lane, and it's just a matter of lane control in that choke point. Dahaka doesn't necessarily get the same type of global value in terms of that instant, you know, gratification of, hey, I've brush stalkered in, I get a drag target. It's much longer to find those targets. The distance to make up is far greater, so we'll see how long he chooses to stay down in the bot lane.
Dansky goes in for Tether 1. He's going to get blinded there along with the root thrown out by BBJ, but he's keeping himself up, following out there on to that shadow. B-Kid ends up getting the Dwarf Toss. Drag is there as we see McIntyre leap in for a fraction there. Percentage now going to be controlled by HeroesHearth Esports, but just fireworks here over that first kind of quarrel. HeroesHearth Esports needs to be careful not to get split around this. For now, it is just Ishbu has the Iron Skin if needed.
Yeah, Ishbu, the positioning there, as you can see, the rest of the members tend to fight towards that middle part. Ishbu can hold that point because he's Johanna. Every other hero is far more susceptible to any type of CC. So B-Kid holding on to point. Now Krillin has found his way in, forcing out the root response. That's going to be dodged there by both B-Kid and
Dansky, and they end up getting the isolation there for a moment. Hold up, though, Cure not trying to get the kite away as they already lost Dansky on that Maiev. Big impact. Unable to survive there as McIntyre throws it down a leap once more. Valkyrie will end up bringing Cure into the ranks of HeroesHearth Esports, even if he has the Burrow, excuse me. It's only going to be stalling out here as Mike Udall seems to be the last piece of fodder in the eyes of HeroesHearth Esports.
And that is going to be HeroesHearth. Not only did they take control 2 minutes ago, but they're establishing dominance in this game as they continue to move further and further ahead. They're going to get this fort down. They'll have a protector momentarily. And now we'll see if HeroesHearth, do they choose to push down this top lane with this 16-tier advantage, get a keep and open this game up. There is a Dahaka on the other side, which does change your mindset playing into a global, but it does look like HeroesHearth will turn their attention to top lane.
Yeah, it's just crazy to think about what screenshot, again, we looked at when looking at Control Point A at the very end of it and what this game looked like. And then now, after that last skirmish, how heavily in favor of HeroesHearth Esports it's going to be. Without the 16, this is very easily going to be the keep. And if Endemic does not tread lightly, maybe a little bit more beyond that is now the siege and the onslaught. This seems to be the focusing here towards the top keep for HeroesHearth. Not looking to fully commit yet. To be honest, I expected HeroesHearth to be far more aggressive there, forcing out the Tranquility. Valkyrie pulling back Cure. He's just surviving for now. Containment Disc is going to be thrown out. The peel back. Look at this. Endemic actually holding on for a moment, but then the damage is there. Cure goes down, and a keep quickly behind it.
Well, Ardent Defender was used as McIntyre was pulled in. The Protector coming in to try and get some follow-up damage. Michael Udall just able to step away from that laser, but the damage is done. The keep has been taken. Another kill was there. And you could see there was the thought process just waiting for Cassia getting that Valkyrie, and the minute that happened, they were able to rip it and get another kill.
Cycle down through mid now for HeroesHearth Esports, just opening up the map, making the rotations that much more difficult. Nice cutoff there from Dansky, questioning if he wants to go in with that tether. He's going to have to back out there, scroll the ceiling, unable to connect. No vault here going to be forced. Still 16 out of the window. Visibility here for Endemic, at least for another while, as Brush Talk will be available. But again, I don't know if it's going to happen in the 16 window. Will Endemic look to contest this? Oh, this is very risky if they want to do so.
McIntyre just taking a swing and a miss there. You know, the one stat that always stands out to me is how well Maiev does with melee assassins on the team. When it becomes Maiev with a bruiser like a Dahaka, the success rate is far lower. And Jimmy, he's not exactly bringing that burst damage behind everything. His damage output is great, but he doesn't bring that same type of burst damage. So the Maiev, I think, has looked fine, but and it's created a lot of chaos, and the disruption has been there with the drags. But I honestly feel like there's the element missing of that assassin alongside of it.
Yeah, we'll see if they'll feel that here as Dansky actually going in. Gonna land the tether onto Crow, and Blessed Shield locking down 3. Dansky trying to kite out there. Valkyrie will not be able to pull him in as he gets the vault. Containment disc is used, but big impact trying to survive there onto the backline, but Jimmy will not make it out of that one. He is going to be first to drop. 3-man condemn out from Ishbu. They need follow-up crowd control if they're going to get any other kill here. B-Kid drops the Stormbolt onto McIntyre, stopping the advance. Endemic does make it out here, but surely comes at a big cost.
Yeah, I think that stun there actually stopped the bleeding, because with McIntyre, of course, going the cooldown reduction at level 7, every time you hit an enemy hero, it goes on a 1-second cooldown. He would have just jumped around in there. I mean, it's like crisscross. They'll make you jump.
They will end up making a jump there, and HeroesHearth now making Endemic at least jump towards this bottom lane, looking if they can get maybe the last even talent here skirmish. McIntyre just joins right over, slaps Cure around there. That's going to be a ragdoll thrown in there, and now with HeroesHearth Esports picking up this bottom fort, furthering the race to 20. And Jayhow, this is, though you were talking about the melee assassin within the composition for Endemic versus the Dahaka and the trade-offs there. For me, though I do agree with you, you know, the numbers here are backing that towards the double melee assassin and having that skirmish. A lot of this was just Endemic not doing anything with a massive advantage and then waiting for HeroesHearth to take an even fight. And now it's them trying to be responsive and deal with it. And now compositionally, it just looks like it's, you know, almost too far out of reach here as the 20 is being crept on by HeroesHearth. Yeah,
it's almost impossible. HeroesHearth just pushing forward. They have to take this fight right here before 20, but we see the response out by HeroesHearth as they continue to bring the fight, and B-Kid staying and surviving on the backline, but does he have any follow-up at all? The rest of the team being zoned out by the Earthquake, and now they're trying to get the follow-up in. But McIntyre takes another swing at it, knocks down multiple members. Michael Udall unable to get the lockdown, and here's 20 for HeroesHearth.
Yeah, and HeroesHearth needs to just wait out at worst a couple of seconds here. They're 13 seconds out from their isolation in their composition, so Endemic has 10 seconds to get a kill, or this is going to be bad here. Dansky trying to make it damage happen with that fan of knives, but it's not enough. Slaps coming through there by McIntyre. Not able to land that hammer, but quickly another E behind it. Bolt out from Arthlon, and another kill. Will they end up getting the track down to B-Kid? One Stormbolt available here. 2 members of HeroesHearth Esports, meanwhile, though, picking up the turret camp. Johanna starting that percentage over control point C. And this game looks all but over here for HeroesHearth.
Yeah, you hate to really say, hey, I think this is over, but the success rate at this point, when you have the 20-tier advantage, the keep wall already down, you're already softening up the keep. This protector is almost unstoppable. I mean, there's nobody on the other team. There's not enough damage in the world that will be able to keep that protector from going directly to the core and taking it down. So for HeroesHearth, could just be a formality. They get the Valkyrie in. They don't even have to full clear this, but I mean, at this point, why not?
The only thing left on a major outplay for Endemic is like through a containment disc, I put mega outplay. Cure gonna land the drag on Arthlon. He's taking a bit of damage there, but McIntyre now seems to be the focus. Arthlon actually getting kited back into the pots. B-Kid having to pop that Stoneform to try and survive. Double E from McIntyre. Containment disc is there, along with the Tranquility from Mike Udall. Still control point C, 15 points remain. Dansky with the 2-man tether, not going to get a full pull yet. B-Kid trying to kite away. The healing on the 13's not there. McIntyre with the final slap down picks off the kill, and HeroesHearth Esports end up winning over the eternal fight of bottom keep.
Like, they didn't even need to take the fight. They've got to be careful. If he actually dies there, I mean, outside of a major misplay, this is it. And all of a sudden, Endemic, they're starting to make things happen. Dansky, see if he can survive as the heal's coming out from Michael Udall. But Dansky, he's going to fall. Cure, he's going to fall as well. HeroesHearth open the door for Endemic. Right as Endemic started to walk through that door, they shut it right in their face and said, hold on a second, let's go back, get the protector, and win this, because all they had to do was get the protector.
I was going to say, do we need to play the angel on HeroesHearth's shoulder and be like, hey, guys, there is a protector back there. Yeah, right there, Ishbu. Yep, it is going to be there online. 15 seconds out from that, ladies and gentlemen. And as we said, you know, the tale hasn't changed after that fight over the bottom. It is still a very long window from Endemic to get that 20 spike to be able to contest. If anything, losing themselves a member, you know, for 20 seconds longer than HeroesHearth Esports. Travel time not being concluded within that analysis, but you guys get the gist of it here. It is going to be a difficult task. And HeroesHearth, it feels like they are, again, kind of walking the red carpet here to game number 1.
HeroesHearth, they have admitted many times that, hey, sometimes we get down. They've joked in the past, unless we're down 3 levels, we're not winning. They weren't quite down 3 levels, but they definitely suffered defeat over that first control point. Dahaka coming in.
This is actually one of those few windows we were talking about. The fact that they're unwilling to bully within that 20-second window shows that Endemic essentially has an opportunity now. It's going to be a 5 versus 5 where they get to choose to fight past the keep, buy as much time for the split, get a kill on the backline, and then back up Peel while they're down a member. It's still very difficult, but it's an option. Valkyrie already burnt there by Crowan.
I'm not sure what's going. HeroesHearth, I feel with the Protector at this point,
well,
they just get the Rainer, but it seems like you can just walk up to the core with the Protector with 20-tier advantage. So far, they're just kind of taking the fight to them. Dansky barely surviving, Arthlon and team. Now they turn their attention to the core, and this Protector should be able to rip through this despite whoever falls on HeroesHearth.
Despite what goes down there with HeroesHearth Esports, but I like Endemic at least, you know, kind of bringing the fight they're attempting at the very end in those very difficult situations, especially from a roster that has not been around as long as we see there on the other side of the battleground. HeroesHearth Esports with Game 1 on Volskaya Foundry in very HeroesHearth Esports fashion.
Just, you know, slow to start, fast to finish. Maybe throw things around a little there at the end.
Don't get me wrong, if looking at a team, I love a team that is far more efficient in the later stages of the game. If you got to be good at the early game or the late game, I will take the late game out of those two. But by no means would I expect, again, that early game. It was what, 4-0 when it came to the kills, multiple deaths over control point A, and a full level pre-10. I can't help but feel like Endemic, going back looking at the VODs, they're going to be like, this could not end where we get, a front wall turret in a fort.
They didn't even get the well on that top lane.
For anybody who wants to know, like, why I give so much harp on that moment, okay? Remove the Punisher or Protector from that type of situation. You have 10 advantage over your opponent. You can choose any lane and force a free turret and a well. You still can force that. So why do you need a Protector or, to be able to make that happen? That means we should minimum double down on that kind of investment in that situation. And that is, again, where I feel like HeroesHearth got the 11-11 fight back to even footing. And then it was way out of control from then.
It did seem a little off. HeroesHearth, they kind of, I don't want to say they let go a little bit of the, it seemed like they had a stranglehold on the game, especially I think it was 20-17 at one point. And give credit to Endemic. You pointed it out. They took the best fight they possibly could outside of that keep area. But for HeroesHearth, do we expect a cleaner game from them? Like, after they start getting the wheels moving, the wheels start turning, should we expect more from them in that situation to just say, hey, look, we've got a 3-level lead. Let's just close it out?
I think that's a tough question to ask. I will tell you my honest answer is yes. I do. If you come out and you're the top team in North America to, back-to-back phases and go undefeated in the last one, I think it's fair to start asking those things of a team, especially when facing against the 5th seed in North America, right? Yes, they are maybe borderline 4th when it comes to actual gameplay itself, but when looking at that, if you want to perform internationally, I feel like the best place you make that happen is when playing your routine matches, right? The ones that you expect. That's where you start upping your bar and you're going, we can never let this happen to us. And the fact that it is, yes, this is just one game, but it is something that I'm going to be looking at through the entirety of this part, because if they are as successful as they have been, they have to do this against Korean teams. They have to do this against Team Dignitas, and I'm not sure, again, letting that happen against Endemic, it's something that will perform at that level internationally.
Well, they have high success on that Battleground, undefeated in league play there. We're going to find out where Battleground number 2 is going to be and see if Endemic wants to take control, and they indeed will take control, as they're going to be taking us to Infernal Shrines. And their map picks, Dreadnought, after losses, they tend to have a mixed bag of what they like to play. Their best Battleground, 4-1 on Sky Temple. They're 3-2 on Infernal. But 2 times they've picked this map after losses or at the start of the phase or the start of the match. So it is something that they do. They seem to have a plethora of things they like to pick from. The one thing that does complement them well is we know Alex Strasza, strong on this Battleground, something that they do like to play, likely be banned out, but it also brings Maiev back in because you always get the tether value. It's very easy to drag onto multiple targets, play around the shrine, and things of that nature. But we also know they have unique strategies that they can also play around with. It's something that we know that Endemic does do at various points, and they have quite a bit. We also saw the Medivh ban last time. You can only ban out so many heroes at the start, so maybe Endemic's got some tricks.
Yeah, that was one of the things that once you started talking about the Alex, that I immediately was like, all right, well then, looking towards the bans that we got out of the last game and the fact that we went through Abathur and Medivh. Abathur not as heavy of a mainstay as we get compared out of the European region, but the fact that we got the Medivh there, I want to know, are we going to see more focus towards those kind of traditional heroes, or again, more towards the support choke, because there is a very different value when looking at Infernal Shrines. And the fact we didn't get Whitemane out of the last game, I thought for sure we would end up seeing
at some point
as early as game 1.
It's based on damage dealt. You're healing, and you obviously tag your targets, and it's based on damage dealt, getting some of that additional healing out. So it is something that brings to light is getting the lash, hitting onto a hero. You get the crisscross going on there, and then here on Infernal Shrines, if it's based on total damage done, there's plenty of damage to be had around those skeletal defenders. We'll see if that does come into play here. Infernal Shrines banned 4 times by HeroesHearth during Part 1, so something that they haven't played a lot of. Again, Endemic's draft in Game 1. Pretty decent draft outside of the Dahaka Maiev combo, but we'll see if they've clearly done their homework to prepare for this.
Yeah, I still would go back and look at the game and I go, I really like their draft. I love their early game execution. I do not like everything starting as early as that first Protector and from that point on. And I feel like if that kind of gets adjusted and cleaned up, I don't look at that last game and I feel like it should be as snowballed back into the favor of HeroesHearth Esports. So if we get that same drafting style from Endemic, I'm still going to remain optimistic here, at least moving into game 2, as we still stick to a bit more traditional. Diablo taken off the table, considering it's Shrines, no surprise.
Does Alex Straza get banned here is the question, and if not, is HeroesHearth willing to commit to an early pickup? The Whitemane question is, there's a lot to be asked. You know, we know that the Q build we saw, I think, a couple times earlier in EU at 1 and 4, but then at level 7, obviously she has her version of Cleanse, as Urel's going to be banned out there, and it's a matter of how effective can this be? Is the build, can we bring it to different battlegrounds? Can we do different things with it? And you just kind of wait for that confirmation bias of, all right, we've seen it played, we know that this is strong, and sometimes that it just takes to see it, to know how it works, and to see how other people are making it function. I mean, every time we went to Eastern Clashes before, we always heard from like the Taiwanese teams, they say, hey, we just wait for Korea to play it, and then we implement it. We try to see how's the new hero working, what's the build, things of that nature, and I think we'll see a lot of that develop with Whitemane over this first weekend.
I think that's fair to kind of expect, is look for that approval within some of the other regions, especially in North America. When we innovate within the meta, it's usually not through the support gameplay. It's through like teamfight synergy is more often than not the place where we kind of rely on that, and I don't see any screaming major synergies, at least not yet with that Urel. Deckard is going to be the priority though. This is cool, this situation that Endemic is in, because it puts them in a, well, number one, how valuable is Alex? Is it enough to be worried about the ban? And if Whitemane is useful and is impactful as she might be able to be, you don't pick either in this slot. You're willing to let it go through into the draft. So the fact that it's let through, in my mind, that says Endemic is comfortable with a Whitemane, even with, or if Alex Straza is banned out. Hopefully. I'm looking forward to it. I want to see.
Sergeant Hammer the pickup here, and it's not something we see often on Infernal Shrines, especially given her ban rate, but she will show up here. Does give you that protection from Blaze. Blaze, this is actually one of his worst battlegrounds. And when we looked at these stats globally, you'd think that, all right, the clear, the survivability that we'll have will be strong. HeroesHearth with the Hammer on the other side, they're mixing it up, Dreadnought. We get an early Thrall, but a Li Ming here on Infernal Shrines in the early part of this draft. It's curious because that's normally a second rotation hero.
That has to scream in a Nubarak fear or priority somewhere. It's Infernal Shrines, J-How. This is North America picking a Li Ming pre-second ban rotation on Infernal Shrines. That has to be am I missing something else? A major counter? I mean, okay, Wave of Force pretty good into Sergeant Hammer is an underestimated trade-off. Even Disintegrate is a little bit undervalued in the counterplay you can have with the sieging opportunities there. And she is a kind of sitting target when it comes to that DPS, but I feel like a little bit it has to be that, again, that spike out of the Eastern scene with the Nubarak.
You know what we also saw at Eastern Clash, which technically was seen here first by No Tomorrow? The Nazebo.
Oh, baby.
The Nazebo. We'll see how that comes into play.
Nazebo plus Deckard and Li Ming, that's so much mage damage that I feel like there's almost no way you get.
Probably not on this one, but down the road. The Nubarak for sure. I'm looking for, like, we've played a Nubarak some here, and Fury, I think, busted it out, but it's like the coordination and the synergy, the way that Korea uses it. We're going to get the Murd and see if we, as the Alex Strons have been out. Here's our first Whitemane in North America. A lot to be talked about as we get into the game with Whitemane. But the Nubarak, the play style of Korea and the way that they use a Nubarak is far different than we see in any other region, which is why it's so impactful. Yeah, their initiation and follow-up to the Nubarak once that Impale combo comes through is very, very good compared to a lot of the other regions. I would compare it to, he's the second-hand Tyrael in modern day. It's just that Sanctification is such an unreliable spell, and some of the other changes into Tyrael has made it less prominent for him to be a pickup.
but the same playstyle exists with the Eldruins. Have a backliner get the follow-up with the large damage burst afterwards, and almost always nets you a major kill, and then afterwards, you know, the warrior has a very good heroic to be able to disengage the skirmish afterwards. And look at that, though. Skirmishing, Maev and Garrosh in the last rotation for HeroesHearth Esports. This is the most Korean North American draft I've seen in a hot while. Just bring the fight. It feels like it is. You know what? Don't care about the battleground. Just bring the battle to your opponent.
Phoenix, that gives you more frontline control to deal with the Garrosh. It's something, these slows that can be there. You've got the knockback potential of Sergeant Hammer. You got the slows from Blaze if you get tossed in as Murd, and you can hop your way out. So there are a lot of defensive mechanics. For HeroesHearth, they did get the Thrall pairing with the Maev, so the double melee assassin. But Dreadnought, I'm gonna take you down history road here. I got a question for you. A new support comes out. You're a competitive player. We know support is one of the more wild roles I think that we have, and all like tanks can normally fit in. We know assassins can always do damage, but support is always a different feel. How comfortable are you? A new hero comes out 2 weeks later, you're like, yeah, let's go.
Pretty confident, actually. I think as long as you're a true support player, which is a little bit tough to say this in this area because we have a lot of North American supports that are just now picking up support. But I guess for any of the North American supports that are very much been a long-standing support, it is every support should be in their arsenal. Even the Brightwing that is out of the meta, right, should be something they're comfortable picking at some point in time. So they should be working on Whitemane while she was on PTR and have the opportunities here to where you're like, we're sitting a lot of games deep on her. And if you're willing to pick it at this point in time, mixed with her relative strength, it's definitely there compared to, again, some initial release supports in the past. So I'd say it's probably pretty high, but again, Endemic moving over a different, you know, kind of support role. It's going to be interesting what happens now, knowing Mike Udall is the man flexing over to it.
Now that Tyrande, as we saw at Gamescom,
don't talk about it, man. We don't.
Is more support-oriented, and you're now saying that every support, every player should have every support in their arsenal, and Tyrande now should at least be viable or available when needed.
I haven't looked at the Tyrande changes yet to be able to say yes or no, but I will say this. As long as she is being converted to an actual support or an actual damage dealer, I'll be happy. But whatever this weird hybrid she has been since day one with that passive, I will be a sad panda.
It's exciting. We'll see how it goes in as, you know, just like the last year, we have a leash in our studio as well. But for now, the early start here, the Whitemane in particular is, she functions like no other hero that we've had before. The way that her supporting works, the one thing that I know when I played Whitemane on the PTR day one, I'm like, man, sometimes you think you have a kill. And then Whitemane just is like, the places where you think you have a kill, Whitemane just completely shuts it down. It's so unique the way that she plays, especially how it's related to mana, which is one of the reasons I think we're going to see more into the Q build to make sure that you don't have those mana issues.
I do think she is a bit more on the kind of ability-oriented support, and what I mean by that is just that if you find her in the situation where the cooldowns are available, great dodge there by McIntyre, maybe the only reason he's able to make it out, but if you catch her in a situation in the optimal circumstances here, which Mike Udall barely into those, she has some of the better supporting output in trades in the game, but it's catching her around those cooldowns and around the position and right timing to be able to make that happen. And for now, the team finding themselves in the right position is Endemic here with Sergeant Hammer in a colossal laning mismatch on the top half of the battleground, able to start up the siege here before that first shrine.
I talked to several of our support pros last night about Whitemane, and you know, I'm trying to get the feel. How much Whitemane are we going to see? What's the potential builds? Things of that nature. And everybody's like 100% you're going to see her. They're still trying to figure out the main build. I think Q build will be the main one, at least, you know, from what I saw in EU and what I have anticipated so far. So it's just a matter of level 7. She has her own version of Cleanse with the Intercession, but it gives you that extra stack that can deplete your mana pool. And that's the main thing, is making sure that you do rotate those abilities correctly and build correctly so that you don't run out of mana. And that seems to be the name of the game with Whitemane, is as long as you don't run out of mana and you can manage that correctly, your healing throughput could be there, but it's a matter of getting the channel down.